So I have some seriousness stuff for you today, and I have some fun stuff for you. Happy Friday. But apparently, guys, we haven't moved past Davos, Greenland, ice, and, their movements around Minnesota, especially. The European Union in response and their responses to Trump on how they're, dealing with everything. And it's kind of interesting. Honestly, there's a lot going on that needs to be covered. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Ripple Effect. So first off, on the note of the economy, and I didn't really mention this in my intro, but the economy seems to be, at least from what everyone's saying, seems to be doing really, really good. Okay, so statistically speaking, it seems to be good. And I can say from personal experience on the ground that it does seem like it is getting better. I saw for the first time in a very long time that gas was lower than $4. It was around $3.60, and I just couldn't believe my eyes, which I live in California, so very expensive. But I couldn't believe that it was down lower than $3, which is actually quite incredible. And it seems like the economy is picking up. So I'm an electrician, and so there's a lot of electrical work happening, and it's really, really good. Whenever we see movement of people, it's actually really, really beneficial to the economy. So it seems like the economy is picking up, which is good for the midterms. It's good for Trump. It's good for conservatives, and it's good for everybody, honestly. I mean, even just outside of that, if it didn't have any effect even on the people that are in the politics of it, it really is good for the everyday person, right? And then, like I was talking about, if we're going to talk about Davos, and there's a lot of conversations that are now coming out of Davos. There's a lot of people that are being mentioned, noted about from Davos, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But really, I kind of want to go back to the same key. They keep presenting, and everyone's doing it, but everyone's presenting Trump and Besant and all of his compadres against one Democrat. One, and it's Gavin Newsom, okay? And so Gavin Newsom is like, he's drawing all the arrows on him, and you would think that that would be a bad thing to do, but the problem is, as he's the only Democrat that's drawing these arrows, he's the one that's getting all of the attention, and everyone's eyes, globally, the world's eyes are on Gavin Newsom. And so he's unfortunately winning the visual. He's winning the visual war with them because he's able to make it about himself, which matters so much more as someone running for president than even being the president, okay? You can be the president, you're already there, right? But when you're trying to run for president, especially as an opposition person, he's drawing it all in. I'm calling it right now. He'll probably win the primary. I'm thinking that the only one who could edge him out would be AOC. But if he wins the primary, I wouldn't be surprised. And he probably is one of the few people that could actually win a general election. So we'll see how that works. But he's so smug. It's just kind of very, very irritating, honestly. And I get tired of him. And of course, living in California doesn't really help because, he's my governor. Now, the other story about ICE was that ICE was accused of arresting a 5-year-old child. And the story goes is that basically ICE is out there just arresting children, and they even tried to say that ICE was using the child as a tool to get the parent. Like they were using the tool to lure the parent in. Come to find out, and this is the part that makes this so valuable and this so important, and why I'm begging you, please help spread the word. Even if it's not my channel, pick a channel and spread it out there, because these stories happen all the time in the big news media, and hopefully we can push it out of existence, and that's what we're trying to do now. What really happened was the person was illegal. They had overstayed their visa, and they had an arrest warrant for their removal. And in the process of them being tracked down and chased, they pulled their vehicle over and took off. So the 5-year-old was left. He abandoned his 5-year-old. Now, I don't know what kind of parent would do that kind of thing. I'm assuming he just assumed that they would take care of the 5-year-old, and if he got away from the police, then he could get it back to him. But what kind of parent would abandon their child and run away? This tells you everything about this person. And the fact that they're trying to make this as if ICE is out there ripping children out of people's hands. No. How wicked and horrible and terrible of a parent to do this kind of thing. Absolutely, absolutely horrible. And here's ICE going, okay, well, I guess we have a child to take care of now. I mean, we can't leave him out in the cold. We can't leave him on the ice. But we can't do that. We actually have to take care of this child since his parents won't do it. And so they end up having to take the child and putting him into care. And And again, that's not the best scenario, but what are you going to do? And like JD Vance, and I'm not a big fan of JD Vance, honestly. I'm calling it right now before the other election. I am not going to be a fan of him as he gets ready for the next election and all that stuff. I am not a big JD Vance fan. I'd be much more happy with Marco Rubio. But even he came out and said, if we let people have a pass because they have a child, you're opening yourselves up to all kinds of major problems, and we can't do that. That's just insane. Now, what's interesting is the whole Greenland thing and Europe and their response to his attempts at Greenland, all that stuff seems very wild. Like, they seem to reaffirm that he can do whatever he likes with Greenland, and they themselves are finally admitting that they have to change some things. That what they were doing wasn't working. And that all the regulations that they've done are insane. And it was funny hearing them come out and say this kind of things where they're saying, we have been hurting ourselves with our own regulations, with our own intentions on the environment, all that stuff. And it's like, yes, thank you. That's why Trump got elected, because we got tired of this garbage. That's why he got elected. Okay? You guys need to do that too. You guys need to start electing people in Europe who will focus on fixing your economies, fixing your culture and your structure of your culture, bringing it back to the values that it once had, and keeping yourself safe from things like all this crazy immigration that's completely changing the whole landscape of your country. And again, I'm putting this out there, and like maybe the 30-something people that watched my previous video didn't get it. I'm still waiting, okay, for someone to pay for me and my wife to go to Europe so that we can enjoy it before it gets crazy, okay? Come on, if there's any billionaires watching this, yeah, right. It'd be great. Now, Iran. I have a lot of mixed feelings about Iran. And not just Iran as much as I have my troubles and frustrations with Trump with regards to Iran. When he was dealing with Iran and he says, go out there and stand in the streets and go out there and protest, knowingly sending these people out there to die. And as the numbers start to skyrocket, I mean, I think the recent numbers, they said it was like something like 16,000 they think are dead. 16,000 people are dead. It just shows you how insane the cost of freedom can be. And we're 250 years removed from the cost of freedom in our country. And that's why we're so weak culturally. That's why we're so weak morally, ethically. We're so weak character. Because we forget what that price of freedom cost. But Trump set a red line. They crossed it. And I'm not seeing anything other than him sending up the Abraham Lincoln, which is good. But, and there are some good things. I was looking it up just for fun. The Abraham Lincoln itself can carry something like 60 aircraft on board. It has 70 aircraft with it, which is the wing that it carries. It's a wing, the aircraft carrier wing set 9, I guess. And it has 3 Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyers with it. The USS Spruance, I guess is what that one's called. The USS Michael Murphy and the USS Frank E. Peterson Jr. And they don't mention, of course, they say, but they don't know how much. But I guess there's like at least one fast attack submarine that they would know and would usually be with the carrier group. So a lot of military, about 7,500 people, are heading into the Persian Gulf. From what I remember, it's kind of weird because I actually literally was looking at the Lincoln not that long ago. I was down at the USS Midway, and the Lincoln was right across the harbor, and then it just deploys to the South China Sea, and then now is being deployed to Gulf, right, the Persian Gulf. And it just makes you think and say we should be praying for our military people, because you don't think about them when you pass them in the street or whatever else, or as they go to different churches and stuff. You don't think about it a lot. But these are the people, because we've not been in war and fighting for such a long time, or in serious stuff really for a while, that thinking about it, we forget sometimes that we need to be praying for these people and worried about for them, their safety and everything, and how us doing things does create safety. I mean, we were so lucky with Venezuela and how fast that happened and how well it worked. Yes, we have great technology, and I get all that, but still God's hand was on it. I'm very sure of that. Now, what's funny too is I was laughing because I had said this. I misspoke the other day, and I said that the Ford had something like 60 aircraft on it or 70 aircraft on it. Apparently Finland, because you were so proud of yourselves and said you could defend yourselves against Russia without America, apparently the Ford can carry up to 90 aircraft. So you're welcome for that bit of trivia. Now, at home here in the United States, we've had 3 people arrested so far out of the group that had invaded the church over the weekend. And what's funny is apparently they had submitted for an arrest warrant for Don Lemon, and the judge turned him down. Of course, it's a liberal, crazy judge and whatever, and hopefully it gets fixed. But the audacity, arrogance, and stupidity of Don Lemon to have someone on his show who was saying that the FACE Act was not created to defend churches, even though literally in it literally spells out the exact scenario that happened. And somehow we're supposed to believe that no, that wasn't what it was for. It's only for abortions. I mean, these people are dumb. These people are so stupid and dumb, and they've been so used to not getting punished that they think they can get away with it. And thank goodness we are now in a time where they're not going to get away with it. And hopefully this sends a very clear message that this kind of stuff will not be tolerated. You don't go into churches and do this kind of thing. You will be going to jail. And again, I remind you, some churches carry guns. People carry guns because of all the attacks that have been happening on churches. If you want to die, keep doing stupid stuff like this, because you might. And how sad that would be for the church that had to deal with you. And lastly, I thought it was a kind of funny note. So I saw a story where 300,000 Danishes, she's Danishes, or Danes rather, petitioned their government and said that they agreed to buy California. And I thought it was funny because people are so used to putting down America that they forget how powerful we are, how amazing we are, how mighty we are still to this day. So, Denmark, I've got some news for you, okay? And here's what it is. I'm going to clarify for you guys where you stand so you guys understand. Denmark, your economy alone, I'm not even going to get to the military side of this. Your economy alone is 38th by GDP globally. 38th. Now that's pretty good. 38th is pretty good. So 38th globally. Good job, Denmark. Give yourself a pat on the back. California is 4th. You let that sink in. So, you're 38th globally, and just the state that you're being funny about is 4th in the world, behind U.S. of course. The whole entire U.S., China, and Germany. So, yeah, you're nothing. You're tiny. Okay, you barely exist, and the fact that you guys are posturing, thinking it's funny, shows how ignorant your schools have been in teaching you guys just general world history and economics. And so, welcome to America being great. And that's the lesson that we also need to learn too. And that if we don't stay great, little dingbats like this will win. And we don't want them to win. So, keep making a difference, keep pushing, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And please spread the word of the ripple effect so we can have an effect around us. Thank you so much.